We spend a lot of time and energy learning to make more, attract more, sell more. But what happens when we forget that we also need to build the capacity to receive the things we're asking for, the things that are trying to reach us? Receiving is a skill. It's not just something you have or you don't have. It's not an innate personality trait. It's something you can learn. So, especially if you grew up in an environment where giving was highly prioritized or receiving was stamped as sinful or bad, this episode is for you. We are going to be talking about receiving cash and compliments, which are kind of like a little more specific to business, but hopefully it'll help you to receive all the good things that are meant to be coming into your life. Welcome to Small Business Casual, where your leisurely morning routine is just as important as your marketing strategy. Here, we focus on designing cozy and thriving businesses that allow you to enjoy your life. I'll guide you through the noise of marketing and calming the behind-the-scenes chaos. I'm your host, small business copywriter Emily Aborn. Join me and let's create an intentional business that feels like home. Hello, welcome back to Small Business Casual. Fair warning, I might be having a little bit too much fun doing the video. So thank you to Nick and also TC Burr for encouraging me to put my podcast episodes on YouTube. And now I'm doing video. Something I said I would always not do. Anyway, today's episode is a courtesy of a long history of not being able to take compliments well myself, and also feeling a little squirrely at times when it comes to getting that sweet, well-deserved cash money. You know what I mean? So I want to start off with a humorous example about when I was young. I was 10 years old, and my neighbor Debbie and her family, they had this dog named Sunny. So for those of you who are music lovers, I actually can't remember if it was spelled Sunny a la Sunny and Cher or Sunny as in like a nice summer day, but let's go with Sunny as in Sunny and Cher just for kicks and giggles today, okay? Not that that matters at all to the story, but his name was Sunny, okay? I was homeschooled growing up, which really just translates to, I never did a lick of school at all until I went to high school. And as a kid, I had lots of free time on my hands, which really just presented me with ample roaming opportunities in my neighborhood while both of my parents were at work all day. So my neighbor knew that I liked Sunny. I did well with Sunny. And she also knew that I was always a kid in search of cash. Like all the neighbors knew this about me. I was always starting businesses in our neighborhood. I had, the babysitting. I had the dog walking. I had the dog like overnight staying. I had antique stores, meaning I just sold like seashells and railroad spikes on the side of the road, lemonade stands. I even tried to do a summer camp once. But turns out you need like a high level of liability insurance for that when children's lives are on the line. Kind of exceeded my allowance at that time, so I scrapped that idea. But stuff like that. I mean, my friend Abby and we would put on like these like trampoline and hula hoop shows and charge people money to come see them. I mean, it was just all the time. So anyway, Debbie knew of my entrepreneurial ways, and one summer she suggested a little side hustle to accompany my main gig, which was usually just babysitting. So she was saying I should offer up my services for walking dogs and feeding people's dogs while at work. And that's really how that started. I made flyers and passed them around the neighborhood, and she was my reference. It was like the whole thing, right? She was like my first testimonial. So of course I said yes to her because I loved Sunny. I already was good friends with the dog, and it was easy breezy. So she has me over one day, walks me through the rules of Sunny, how to put the right, a harness thing on and the treats, and 2 walks a day, a little snack at lunchtime, not too much, not too little, like all the things. Make yourself comfortable for a few minutes. Like I think people were like, okay, this child needs an escape from home every once in a while. So if she wants to watch TV in our living room, that's fine, which I never actually did at their house, but I maybe should have in retrospect. Anyway, so she gives me the house key. Off you go, right? And then we talk about money. And Debbie had offered to give me $10 a week to watch Sunny and to walk Sunny, and I had to walk Sunny 2 times a day. Now, when Debbie told me this, $10 a week was like way more than I had ever. I mean, that was probably more than I got in a night of babysitting, to be honest with you. And I was like, $10? How about five? How about five? I said. And yes, I actually turned down money. I was the intrepid entrepreneur child who turned down money. And so as a result, guess who ended up walking Sunny 5 days a week, twice a day for not just the summer, but then into the winter and into the school year, which I didn't do school anyway, so it didn't matter. But yeah, it was me. It was me. And I will say Debbie was so nice. Like she was the best neighbor ever. And sometimes she would like surprise me with little bonuses and extras. But since I'd only asked for $5 a week, usually I only got $5 a week. And I wish I could say that that was the only time I had done this in my life. Sadly, I did not come from a very affluent family. We grew up like well below the poverty line. I was the oldest of four. And, you know, from a very young age, I always was like a little weird and squirrely when it came to money. When we were at the grocery store, for example, I knew my mom, like I saw that receipt. It was long. It was longer than those CVS receipts. Okay. And I knew it was really hard for my parents. And I knew that my mom had to like stuff it down and just stomach whatever that receipt said, looking at her four hollow legs trailing behind her, and trying not to have a meltdown in the middle of the grocery store. And so from an early age, I assumed that because we were in need of money, because we were poor, because we were the kids who duct taped our snow pants instead of getting new snow pants, because we put market basket bags inside of our boots when they had holes in them, everybody must be broke and everybody must be hard up for money. And it was my job to help them henceforth. So, in addition, I also kind of grew up in like with a religious background. And we were also taught, so I have like these two things coming at me, right? Like these two very old beliefs. We were also taught that money is evil. The you should always be like never love money. Don't you really shouldn't even like it. Blah 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 blah. So then of course you enter the world with this entrepreneurial spirit, and I actually step into entrepreneurship many times where I am now in charge of charging people money. And so when I'm getting that money from people, or even when I'm saying how much things cost, it's like, well, it doesn't have to cost that much for you, right? Like it's like a 5 alarm fire in my brain. And it's stories like mine. And honestly, it's just scarcity that can sometimes be in our DNA, and it can go back generations and generations and generations. And I think we all come at it with our own stuff, with our own lens. There could be a family history where you had tons of money, but it was just like always very scrimpy and tidy, and you lived like you didn't have any, or the story is unique to you. But it is exactly why it is part of why we as entrepreneurs, we can struggle from time to time with accepting money, with receiving money. And as we talked about last week, this is why we can have a hard time charging our worth, knowing our worth, right? Receiving everything abundant that comes our way. And that could be anything from joy to play to compliments and cash, which is what I want to talk about today. Maybe you have a story of your past that this is kind of all bringing up. Maybe you can relate a lot to mine, but you can actually see when you look back at that story, and maybe it's not from that young, but you can look back to see, oh, this is why I maybe struggle to receive today. And there are lots and lots of other things in there that may have nothing to do with money, right? They may have like just a fear of being seen. It could be so many things. I am not coming to you as a psychotherapist. Obviously, I'm a copywriter. I'm coming at you with somebody who has not mastered this by a long shot, but I am also working on it right alongside you. And I will say, I'm not like, this is not going to be like an abundance lecture. Okay. This is not, I'm not some like master manifesting guru. I mean, I'm sure you could guess that by now. I'm not some influencer on Instagram telling you just like think happy thoughts. But I am somebody who is in this and with you and practicing it every day. And it's just kind of like a hello, hi, I see you. Here's some things I'm doing. Maybe these will help you too. In my opinions, abundance is a way bigger word than we make it out to mean. It's not just about, having more come in the door. It's not just about money. It's not just about wealth. It's about getting the right things in the door. And that means the right fit clients, the right fit friends, the right fit communities, the right fit opportunities, getting more of those right fit things in the door and aligned alongside you. And then it's a step further. It's actually letting those things land, allowing yourself to enjoy it, to keep it, to savor and celebrate and recognize, yes, I am worthy of this. I deserve this. Every good thing that comes my way is okay for me to say yes to and accept. And I would say full stop, but frickin' AI says full stop all the time. So whatever. Let's just say it. Full stop. We are worthy of receiving the good things that come our way. Okay. Full stop. So, in case you're newish here, I am Emily Aborn. I am a small business copywriter. And as you could probably tell by now, I am also a podcaster. I've been in business for 8 years as a copywriter and 12 years total as a business owner at the time of this recording. Over that time, I've had 3 different kinds of businesses: online, brick and mortar, and like a community, events, groups, that kind of thing. And I have seen, and actually I wrote a entire full-length book on the art of manifestation. But I have seen and ghost written a lot of eye-rolly abundance content. And what I want to do today is actually kind of like strip off all the glitter, all the vision boards, and just manifest and all that, like, just manifest it. Like, I want to bring today the unglamorous link. And that is just like, no, you also actually have to work on your capacity to receive it. So that's what we're going to get into. We often focus on the getting and the pursuit and the hustle, right? But we skip out on what's going to happen when we actually get what we want, when we actually receive. So I thought of 2 really simple, no, cash is not simple. Compliments are not simple, but 2 small everyday things we can start with. 2 abundance currencies that we can focus on. And these are going to help us to experience being seen a little bit more, relaxing, resting, easing into receiving. So by the end of the episode, my goal is simply that we will both, you and me, have a clearer read on why receiving is hard and also what it's costing us when we don't. I mean, besides not having any money or compliments. But then we're also going to have some things that we can work on together. And I promise they do not involve a single positive affirmation or mantra taped to your bathroom mirror. Okay. So you don't have to worry about that. I never know now that I'm doing video if I should like record myself drinking my tea or just pause. So I'm going to pause. All right, let's start with 2 reasons that I think that we're not always so great at receiving. These are 2 of many. Okay. 2 of many. But number 1, first of all, so many of us are built to give. I will say, I think that is also how we feel we should be in a lot more instances than not. Service providers, creatives, helpers, eldest daughters, millennial, a lot of women, especially, we build this identity on being useful and being generous and being low maintenance and being, oh, I don't have any needs. And so receiving can make you feel very exposed and very vulnerable by comparison. It can even, depending on how you were raised, it can even make you feel a little greedy, or a little bit unsafe. And perhaps, and this comes up for me a lot too, but sometimes it can also make you feel as if you owe the giver something in return. Like it's never just okay to receive without the worry of strings being attached, or without like, oh, now I'm going to have to do this for their birthday or for their blah, 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 blah. My therapist says, and I'm not going to get his quote exactly, but I am going to say it a lot over the next couple of episodes. He likes to remind me, you do not have to deliver to deserve. And I love that. And it's really, really helping me. And I'm working on it a little bit more every single day. You do not have to deliver to deserve. And there are times in life when, let's just be real and honest, we can't deliver. We need help. We need rest. We need somebody else to step in and support us during that time. Number two, receiving as a capacity. Like I said, it's not just something you're born with or something you're not born with. And yes, it may have a lot to do with your history or your past, but it is a capacity. And we all kind of have like a ceiling for it. So yours and maybe yeah, yours might just be a little bit lower. So in the book, The Big Leap, Gay Hendricks calls this the upper limit problem. And what it's, we all bump into it eventually. But what it is it's sort of like this set point for how much good in our lives we can hold. So when you start to go over that, you can unconsciously sabotage your way back to baseline, or back to somewhere where it's a little bit safer. So think of like these would be kind of like examples when something really good is happening in a relationship, or so when something really good is happening in a relationship, that's when you choose the time to pick a fight. Or when something really good is happening in a friendship or a business, that's the time you're like, disaster strikes, and something implodes. But it was kind of like, if you look at it, it was kind of your fault. Or sorry, not your fault, but your doing. You kind of self-sabotage. So another great example of this is like everything is going so well for you, or you're getting really, really excited to do this one thing, and then you get sick, right? Or you manufacture a problem, or somebody is like cheering you on, or you win something, and then you just kind of like downplay the win. Like you don't let yourself play at that bigger level. So Gay provides a step in the right direction in her book, The Big Leap, with this quote. And I really love this. Letting yourself savor natural good feelings is a way to transcend your upper limit problem. By extending your ability to feel positive feelings, you expand your tolerance for things going well in your life. And it's hard. It's not like this is easy, but it's really, really important. So, the thing we often find ourselves doing to downplay compliments, for example, is deflecting. And on the surface, I will say that that seems very humble. Like, oh, it was nothing. Or, oh, this old thing. My aunt loves this one. She'll say, oh, that's very nice of you to say. That's so nice of you to say. But you can see where deflecting is a step in the wrong direction. And every single time you do it, it's like a tiny, tiny message to yourself that, nope, we don't let good things land here. So you do that a couple times a day or a couple times a week for decade after decade after decade, and you have trained yourself into a closing hand that is not going to receive those compliments. So the goal of working on this isn't to feel worthy and then receive, it's to receive while it's still uncomfortable, and then let your capacity grow from there. So let's talk about how we can get better at receiving cash and compliments, or abundance, if cash is a better way for you to, or sorry, if abundance is a better way for you to think of it than both of those things. Because I think we should be open to receiving all good things in our life, all good stuff in our life. And this is a good place to start. So when it comes down to receiving cash, see, maybe I should just record myself drinking the tea. Let's start by naming what the money block is. Whatever behavior you find yourself in, whether it's overpricing or over delivering, or, oh my God, I used to be guilty of this one, reflexively offering discounts. Like, oh, they just must need a discount. Guilt about charging, that awkward shuffle when somebody pays you or offers to pay you or asks your pricing, or maybe you avoid looking at your numbers or your books altogether. We have to start by naming it. We have to start by calling it what it is. So, whatever it is for you out of those things, or maybe it's something totally different, you have to catch yourself in it and say, ah, I see. I am undercharging here. Oh, okay. Here's the part where I'm reflexively offering them a discount, right? So, a second thing I find helpful for this is because I used to do this all the time. I find it very helpful to make all of my costs concrete, meaning upfront, I've decided my pricing for things and I've put them all into a spreadsheet. And personally, I price for sustainability and long term growth. And also, I try to have really, really fair. And most people tell me my pricing is more than reasonable. But I don't want it to skew in the way of me getting burnt out and me getting resentful. And I also don't want it to be like wildly overpriced so that my clients cannot handle it. I also need to keep a roof over my head and pay my bills, right? So these are all the things I've already factored into, and I have my prices. They are all just listed out, and they are hard prices. They're like when you go to the grocery store and peanut butter is $4.99. It's just the price. You're not at the grocery counter being like, can I get this for a little bit cheaper? Can this be $2.99? So once I have all my prices, it's like, these are the costs. And then when I send a proposal, I literally just add up these line items. I just add them up from the spreadsheet and send the proposal. So much less emotion in it for me. No hemming and hawing and flinching at my own prices every time I go to do it, or like trying to make them up on the fly. And like, because then your emotions can get in the way each and every single time. So when I do that, it can help to not chronically like underprice myself, but it can also just kind of help take the emotions out of it. It's just money, right? At the end of the day, it's just like they'll accept the proposal or they're not going to accept the proposal. And yay, bless their heart, either way. So let me add something here. When we chronically underprice, and I see people in my industry do this all the time, and it drives me banana pants. But when we underprice at whatever we do, whether it's web design or coaching or operations or copywriting or you do you with what the industry is, but you're doing the entire industry a disservice, and you're also doing yourself a disservice. Now, this is twofold, and here's why. So one, so let's say that they get a proposal from you who has underpriced yourself and somebody else, and let's just say that that other person is like twice what you are, okay, because you're underpriced. Now, they're either going to find it very sketchy that you are so inexpensive, or they're going to find it really shisty that the other person is so expensive. So what it does is, well, it either undermines your worth and your value. And like, why is that person so cheap, right? At whatever you're doing. And it also does the industry a disservice because now they're thinking like, oh, that person is charging too much when that person is probably charging the right amount, to be honest with you. So it's kind of like how Amazon has taught us all that things should be wildly cheap, come with free shipping, and like arrive to your doorstep overnight. It's the same kind of concept. It does the whole market a disservice. So another way to help you with receiving cash is to reframe it. Money is part of doing business. It is an exchange. It's very actually clean and easy. I'm providing you with something, you're providing me with money. It doesn't actually mean anything about you or about the other person. It literally means nothing. It's a piece, it's less than a piece of paper because it's all just like in the cloud of finances, right? So I think we often write these stories about what others can afford, or what they can, what we expect them to be able to afford, and we can create this whole narrative around it. Or what are they going to think if I charge this, right? When in fact, receiving payment, asking for payment, it is just part of business ownership. And sometimes people can't afford us. Sometimes you don't go buy a Mercedes because you can only afford a Honda, right? So let's not write the stories of our clients' pocketbooks. Let's write our own money stories around what we need to receive, around how we've priced our products and services, and just kind of like leave the energy and the emotions out of it. Cash is just cash. Money is just part of doing business. It is clean and easy. Doesn't mean anything about you or the other person. So, a few more practices that I have found really helpful. When I start veering towards that reflexive discount, I catch myself. Like I said, I call it what it is. Oh, this is the part where I just offer a discount because I feel like a person should have a discount. So, notice that urge and also the urge to go the other way, which is to throw in like a bunch of extras. Because if you throw in a bunch of extras, you're still relieving the discomfort of receiving the full value. Like something about it is making you uncomfortable. So you're like, I better toss in a whole bunch of bonuses so that this is worth their time. So instead of doing that, try just like sitting with the discomfort and sitting it. If it takes 10, 15, 20 minutes, sit with that discomfort and then send your proposal at the price that it should be without the reflexive discount and without all the extras and see what happens. Just see what happens. Number two, as a helpful practice, is just practice saying the cost and your number. Like if you give verbal pricing over the phone, over Zoom, or you write it in an email, practice saying your number and then stopping. You don't need to explain it. You don't need to say like, oh, but it's this. I have this many years of experience and all these credentials. You can just say your number and then stop. The silence after that cost is actually where they get to share their thoughts and then let them. And if that is the opportunity to consider offering an extra or to consider offering a discount, you might have that discussion then. But you've said your cost, you've said your worth, and it's just done. It's just, this is done. And lastly, I would highly encourage everybody to have a regular money date. This is when you actually look at your numbers so that you know how much to charge. And you can so much more easily take the emotions out of it, I think, when you know how much you need to run your business and to keep your life running. And that's how much you charge. Like there's not really any hemming and hawing because I'm just like, well, this is my mortgage. I pay myself this every month. This is how many projects I need to take on a month. This is the cost, right? So, okay, let's shift gears and move receiving compliments, and then we'll wrap up. So, when it comes to receiving compliments, it's really a matter of instead of deflecting the compliment and being like, oh, it was nothing. Oh, this old thing. I got this at whatever, the Goodwill rack. We're going to, or I've had this for 20 years. We're going to practice just accepting it. So instead of saying, oh, it was nothing, or joking it away, or crediting somebody else, crediting good luck or timing or changing the subject, we're going to practice this. Okay. We're going to practice it together right now. Thank you. Thanks. Oh, you're so welcome. Thank you for noticing. It's a fun one. It's a fun one to try. Thank you for noticing. When someone's like, your hair looks so cute today. Thanks for noticing, right? You don't have to push the praises and the compliments off. Like people feel really, really good when they compliment other people. I saw this girl in the grocery store the other day. She was the cashier. She was probably like 19, 20 years old. And she had beautiful blue eyes. And I was just like, your eyes are incredible. Like they are the coolest shade of blue I've ever seen. And you know what she said to me? She said, oh my gosh, thank you. No one's actually ever told me that before. And I was like, okay, first of all, I don't know how, because this girl's eyes were stunning. But second of all, that felt so good for both of us, right? She's like walking on sunshine because she's now got like world's best eyes. And I feel like I'm so glad I said something because that girl has never heard that compliment before. So I think we can take that lesson from that 19, 18, 20-year-old and don't let the praise bounce off of you. It feels so good for people to give compliments. It also feels really good when you actually let it sink in and receive it. And over time, it helps to kind of like grow those compliments within yourself and your positive self-talk and things like that. It's like an upward spiral. Now, we of course do not need people's compliments. Okay. I don't want us to be like, oh, I need my next fix of a compliment. In fact, I recently read a post on Instagram by Note to Soul, and I will include that in the show notes. But basically, it said, if you live by the compliment, you will die by the insult. So, yes, when your self esteem is borrowed from other people, it can be taken away just as quickly as it came. We want to learn to like ourselves, whether we're being applauded or complimented, or whether we're being misunderstood. Like, we still want to come back to ourselves and be the person to give ourselves compliments. And maybe that's another good place to start. Maybe you start giving yourself compliments. Like, look, I talk wildly with my hands, but maybe it's like, Emily, you're very expressive, instead of me just like beating myself up about it. Okay. So we don't need other people's compliments to feel worthy. We all know that. But I also don't want others' praise to just bounce off me. I don't want to train others that I don't want their compliments, or that I'm uncomfortable with their compliments. I want people to tell me, like, you look really nice today, or, oh my gosh, I love your voice, or your message was really inspiring, whatever it is. But I don't want to train other people that I don't want to receive their compliments. And I think a lot of times when we do this to ourselves, and I'm speaking for myself here, we aren't then able to also internalize some of these things for ourselves. So then we do need the next compliment, right? Because we're not able to acknowledge or just like own our achievements or accomplishments or our brilliance. So then all these other testimonials feel hollow because we're not letting them sink in for ourselves. All these words of affirmation just fall to the floor because it's like, well, I don't really believe that about myself. So that's where I think we can kind of work hand in hand with the positive feedback people are giving us. We can start teaching ourselves that it's okay to accept it. And we can also turn that on ourselves and really build some of that positive feedback for ourselves. Maybe something you could do is when somebody does give you a compliment, you can just say, thank you, full stop, thank you. But then also say it to yourself inside your head. Like, if somebody does say, oh my gosh, that podcast you just did was life changing, Karen, then you say, thank you, full stop, thank you. Or what did you love about it? I mean, open up a conversation if you want, but don't, we're not deflecting, and we don't need to return the compliment until after you say thank you. But then turn it back on yourself and be like, hey, Karen, that episode was really, really life changing. I'm so proud of you. And I tell you what, these are not always comfortable things to do. I don't enjoy it. I like to be humble and not praise myself. But it's really, really important to practice. So let those little compliments in and nurture your soul because you deserve it. So in closing, I thought it could be fun if we had like a little toolkit so we can keep on doing repetitions, kind of like weightlifting, with compliments and cash until we build these muscles up really nice and strong. So practice a couple of these and pick a few and practice them, put them into practice today. I will also include them in the show notes because I know that some people like to read things versus just listen. So number one is the full stop. Like we talked about, compliment, cash, someone expresses gratitude, someone gives you a birthday card, just say thank you. Just say thank you. The receiving inventory. My friend Andy Lyons taught me about this a while ago. Write down what you receive each and every time that you do. And then at the end, like let's say you do it for a week, okay? And then at the end of that, you celebrate it. Large, small, all of it. Somebody let you go in front of you in the grocery store. Somebody let you go in front of them in the grocery store. This happened to me the other day at the store. And I was like, oh my God, I received that. I just wrote it down. I just said, thank you. Usually I'd be like, oh, no, you go. And then they'd be like, you go. And then they would eventually go. I guarantee you. So if somebody remembers to wish you a happy birthday, or somebody sends you a little surprise cash in the mail or whatever, just receive it and write it down on your receiving inventory list. And then at the end of the week or the month or whenever you want to keep it, celebrate those things. This one is a little bit harder, but it's valid and it applies to a lot of things. And that is going back to that upper limit catch. So right after you do get a win, Watch for the urge to self-sabotage. Whenever you've worked through something really big, or you've done this project, or you've landed this great, amazing client, or your business is starting to grow, whatever that looks like for you, watch for that urge to self-sabotage. And when that does show up, name it. This is my upper limit talking. This is not a real problem. Okay. This is not, I do deserve this. This is just my upper limit and I'm bumping into it. So naming it, I think, can just be like step one of robbing it of its power. And then the other thing I love, which we kind of talked about, is receiving in low stakes. So, one I am super guilty of, I will carry all of the grocery bags. I don't care if I have 10. I will carry them all into the door in one load. And I don't know why, but I think it's because I don't want help. And so I'm like, well, if I just do in one load, my husband won't have time to come out and get any of the bags, and then I will not have to receive anything. So I've started to let him carry some of the bags in for me. I've even asked for it. Like, do you mind helping me carry in some of the bags? Accept the coffee that somebody gets you, right? Or if somebody offers to pay for your lunch, accept it. Take these little low steps, these low stakes receiving moments. Take the help you would normally wave off. And then as you build that muscle where there's very little on the line, then you can start to build the muscle to receive bigger, bigger, bigger things. And when those things show up for you, don't forget to put them in your receiving inventory. The other thing I love is the receipts file, or some people call it the happy file. And that's where you just are intentional about keeping every kind word, every review, every testimonial, every LinkedIn recommendation, every you changed my life, everything. You put it all in one place. And when you start to get that scarcity mindset, you read those things. Again, I don't want to go too much into that one because I don't want to be like basing our entire like existence on other people's compliments, but it can be helpful. Lastly, this one is going to be hard for some of you, but I started doing this 2-3 years ago and it was really, really awesome. It started getting my prices to where they are now and where they needed to be. So on my proposals, every single time I sent one for like, I think it was like 2 years, I had to do this. I would just raise it the teeny tiniest smidgen, like barely perceptible. And I would watch as nothing happened. Nothing bad happened. They paid the invoice and I would pay attention for what comes up for me. I would sometimes want to go back and change it and fix it, right? What is coming up as I'm making this? But then I would send it and nothing bad would happen. So I would encourage you to do that. Like, I'm talking tiny. I think I started raising my proposals by like $10 sometimes at a time. And now and my goal was to get to like a certain price that I wanted and per page. And I did that, but it took a long time. It took almost 2 years. So remember that our capacity expands slowly, but it's while you do this, when you are uncomfortable, that you're able to build that muscle and just like sit with the, honestly, no one ever, well, I can't say no one ever died of discomfort, but chances of dying of this kind of discomfort, very low, very, very low. So do it uncomfortable. We typically wait until we feel worthy or until we have proven some sort of like achievement or accomplishment, or we've been doing this for X amount of years. But I want us to actually reverse engineer that and start practicing receiving first. Because I think what happens is our feelings that like, oh yeah, it is safe to receive, those start to catch up with us. So it's a little bit like confidence or bravery or inspiration, you know, all the things. It's like you always just have to be doing things before you feel them. It's so annoying. Why is it like this? You always have to get you have to act to get the damn feelings that you want. All right. In closing, as I said, I'm working on this right now too, right alongside you. I'm working on receiving a little bit more in my life. I keep a receiving inventory and also a celebration journal. I kind of keep those things separately. I have a big shoebox full of all of the positive, like cards and words and things people send me that make me feel good. I should be doing that with my testimonials and reviews too. And then when somebody is complimenting me, this is the one I'm going to work on with you. Okay. This week, when somebody gives me a compliment, I'm just going to say, thank you so much, or thank you for noticing. So, on that note, thank you for listening. And I'll chat with you next week. We are actually going to be talking about another kind of part of this question, which is, what if there is nothing to prove? And then I have one little bonus episode for you in July, and then we will call it, oh my God, August. Okay, on that note, goodbye. Thanks for joining me on this week's episode of Small Business Casual. If you love the show, make sure to rate, review, and share it with a frazzled business owner that you care about. Because this shouldn't feel like a roller coaster ride, more like a scenic train ride with snacks. Don't forget those snacks.